This isn't just any neutral, this is a color by Farrow Ball, so you know we mean business here. It's called Skimming Stone and it's defined as being a warm light gray. But knowing this paint company, you can bet that it's loaded with richness and depth. So we're gonna talk all about this popular color, but also slowly build an entire color palette around it so you can be equipped for your next paint project. It's free advice, and all I ask is a gentle press of that like button. And subscribe if you want to stay up to date with our 6 videos a week on this painting and decorating channel. It really means a lot, by the way. Skimming Stone is a stony off-white that is probably more off than white. It's based on the color of old plaster that was used in the 1800s. In fact, a lot of Farrow Ball's color descriptions are based around its rich history of older architecture and home restoration. This is a paint color that you can really base an entire design off of because it's not going to really irk anyone or give anyone the ick. When you have neutrals this balanced, they inevitably will lean a little cool or a little warm, a little greeny, a little beigey, maybe purpley, but I feel this one is pretty balanced, probably more so on the warmer side of things, I would say. It will largely depend on your room, your furniture, your flooring, and especially your lighting. And there's a good chance that it may feel warmer at one time of the day and then cooler at another. It is a bit of a chameleon color, but not any more than most other colors. So for the most part, it is definitely one of the more versatile paint colors that can suit many different spaces. As you can see in these pictures that are popping up on your screen, this could be the center of a number of different color palettes. But I have put together one that I personally really enjoy. And they're all by Farrow Ball, so if you don't know this company, these colors all come pre-mixed with a ton of colorant, so they're really rich, and you can leverage their super flat estate emulsion finishes, which are some of the flattest paints that I've ever seen. But let's get to the colors. The first color is Charleston Gray, which is definitely a darker color. And that's largely where the differences end, I would say. Both colors are muted. They don't feel too colorful, if you know what I mean. And that's because they have their own healthy dose of gray mixed in, and a little bit of warmth, either in the form of beige or brown. It's always nice to work within the same family of colors, especially if you're just starting out with design and color schemes in general, or even a specific color hue, and then you just kind of switch up how dark or light you're going with it. And that's sort of what these two colors are doing. They're not identical in their undertones, but they're close enough that they play nice with one another. They're going to cooperate. You can easily use them both in the same space if you wanted a subtle accent color that was darker, let's say, or for a more dramatic look, you can use Charleston Gray as your primary color, and then Skimming Stone becomes the supportive secondary one. Fairly straightforward, easy choice for me, even though you can sometimes have this brown go a little bit into earthy purple territory, or maybe a subtle aubergine, which I do enjoy. I also enjoy that word. Eggplant. Okay, great. Now, if you were looking to explore a different color hue, why not stick with the gray theme by going with a soft gray-green in Mizzle? So here we have a blend of mist and drizzle, which is apparently the meaning of this color's funny name, but I think it was just what I was looking for in this color palette. It's a really lovely, soft, hazy, cool green that is noticeable without feeling overly saturated. And that's a big point because oftentimes whenever you're working with neutral colors in general, when you want to inject a bit of color, like a little strong dose, a strong pop here and there, you don't always need to go all the way with your color. You don't need to pick a bright, dynamic, vibrant green. You can just pick a green like this, and it's going to look green enough, especially next to those other grayish colors that we're incorporating. Because sometimes enough is enough. Am I right? It's also different enough to be an accentuated aspect of your design, whether you want a fun little green chair or a vanity, but it's subtle enough that if you wanted to envelop and overpower a room, just paint all your walls with it, you can do that as well, especially in the more sectioned off rooms behind doors, so they're not really an open view at all times. And now for something completely different, it's the return of the aubergine. We have Brinjal. We have this. This is a color that maybe you don't want to use all over your kitchen, living and dining areas, but when used in small pockets, this beautiful combination of purple and red taken to a really deep level can add a lot to a color palette, especially when you're dealing largely with those neutrals. This is an accent color that will coordinate really nicely with Skimming Stone and Charleston Gray, and will directly complement Mizzle. So overall, the palette is really accomplishing a lot. You don't have to use all of these colors all together, by the way. Maybe 2 suit your space really well. 1 would look great in your bathroom, and then another one just not work it. That's why I give you options, because you're the best. Now also we have those 2 trim colors, the all-important baseboard, door, and frame color options that will help finish your overall color palette. I have a white and a dark color that you can use that are really gonna go nicely with the colors we talked about. Starting with Wimborne White by Farrow Ball, which has just enough of a difference between itself and Skimming Stone. They're both a tad warm leaning with a slight hint of gray, and although you could just paint your trim stark white, I do like how Wimborne White is just a shade darker than pure white. It's also going to go really well with those darker, more saturated colors as secondary options. If you already know Farrow Ball paints, you already know about Wimborne White, okay? It's one of the best whites in their collection. But the dark color choice for your trim that I would recommend is called Mole's Breath, and it almost has a fur coat feel to it. Maybe it's the name. It also sort of feels like a warm black pepper. I don't know why. It's essentially Charleston Gray that has a lot more gray, but enough brown warmth in it to feel settled. Think of it as sort of a charcoal taupe. And if you know taupe, you know I'm a big fan of taupe. Basically brown and gray mixed. Here's the palette all together. Let me know what you think. And here's another one you should check out because I put a lot of effort into it.